Good morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers. Morning coffee or tea with American Scouser. Wednesday, we're back. It feels like we've been gone such a long time.
Right.
But yes, world's greatest dad. Wednesday is in effect. Number two is not here. Number two is being world's second greatest dad in some family functions and stuff like that. But John is with us. Have no fear, John is here. What's going on, John?
Yeah, like I told you, got a bad case of the flu, but the Liverpool win yesterday kind of lifted spirits a bit. So not feeling the best, but good enough to appear in the morning show. How are you guys?
Yeah, we were talking about that before we went on air. So you celebrated Christmas with a hint of COVID.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good. I didn't get tested, right? But I really feel like it is. So yeah.
Have you
Well,
had it before?
yeah, I've had it before, like
Okay,
twice.
so you would know. That's what I meant. Like I wouldn't know
Yeah.
if I got it, if it was a flu or not or whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't want to jinx it or anything right now, right before we go on vacation.
Nah,
So
you're not me.
yeah,
You're not me. Don't worry, Tim. You're not me.
I hope it's not contagious over air or something like that. So
Right.
yeah, let's go with that. Uh, a lot to talk about. Obviously, we do have a few headlines to cover, but more importantly, obviously, we're going to talk about the game yesterday with all the Christmas festivities, New Year's, all that kind of stuff. Everybody on the move. So we didn't do the pre and post yesterday. So I want to get your take on the game. A bit more stressful than we would like it to be, or more than that. I mean, normally you go away to Burnley, you squeak out a win or stuff like that. Yeah. But based on how the game was going, it just felt like, man, this should not be this stressful. It felt like we were winning by 4 at all times, even though we were not.
Yeah, in the first half, we almost felt like the second goal was inevitable. It was just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Uh, Granted, we had at least what I think. I think we had two perfectly good goals ruled out. We're definitely going to talk about that, but definitely, I think people saying that it was a little bit scary at times are kind of exaggerating a little bit. There's a part of me where I felt like the defense had it covered. Credit to Van Dijk and Kwanzaa. They did look pretty relaxed there, even when Burnley had chances. Granted, Burnley had that really good chance that flicked off of Darwin's thigh, but other than that, and the Endo wayward pass, it was pretty smooth sailing. I think we could definitely play better in terms of being more clinical, but obviously we aren't at fifth gear or whatever. But it's what league winners do. It's what title aspiring teams do. They just find a way to grind these kind of games, kind of keep the security in there. So it definitely could have been worse, but like we get the 3 points, we put the pressure on Arsenal. So I'll take it all day, man. Like you said, Burnley away, regardless of how bad they are, they're still gonna give you the business, and they looked like they were gonna give us the business, but we stood firm. So yeah, all things considered, pretty good.
See, a couple of things. I was one of the people who was kind of like upset over not having closed out the game. And the
Right.
reason I say that is, and you could argue that, this is why it shows that Villa is not a title contender yet.
Yeah.
If you watched that Villa game yesterday, and at 2-0, it felt like they kind of like switched, like lower the gear. They figured Old Trafford will do the rest. They'll put United away. And they lower the gear, and obviously United comes back, which as icky as a United win feels, it was still good for us in the grand scheme of things. But I felt like I mean, Mateusz mentions that Kwanzaa tackle in the second half. Even the first half, I don't know, like you guys know me, I kind of worry as a lifestyle, like I always say. And
We're getting the T-shirt on that, by the way.
What was that?
We're gonna get a T-shirt for that, by the way.
Yes, we will. I'm working on that. The other one, I like the one that says established, because Victor was giving me shit on Discord yesterday about worrying. But I mean, I feel like we could have finished that game off a lot earlier, and we kind of let him hang in there. And what happens when that happens is somewhere in the second half is stupid. Endo does this thing at times. Gravenberg, your boy Gravenberg does too, like where they try to get a foot in, regardless of where that bounce is going to go. That's a dangerous thing to do because, one of those bounces will fall in front of them, and you never know. Once it's 1-1, I felt like in the second half we got the stadium back in the game, whereas the first half it was kind of like you said, it's like a matter of when the second goal was going to come, which it did come in the first half. So let's talk about those two goals. The first one, I mean, it is a very, very, very soft foul.
I think they just kind of stuck with it because that was the decision on the floor. Nothing more, nothing less. I feel like if they really went into it, like there's a thing, right, with how VAR works. They probably just go with what's there, even though there's like an argument that can be made. So I think that was more of a case for that. But honestly, if you're thinking about it, Nunez doesn't even touch him. So, like, what do you want him to do there? It's a perfectly good contest. Robs Gakpo of a good goal, which I think, by the way, segueing into Gakpo, was pretty good at left wing yesterday. He was
Yes.
in that position. We were talking about Nunez on the left wing. Gakpo, I thought, was pretty good. I
I
think those,
couldn't even tell though. They were switching so far, like because you
yeah,
saw Nunez on the left a lot too. So maybe that
right,
combo actually, in some ways, worked better than a Diaz Nunez combo because Diaz
right.
does not really want to come inside as much, whereas Gakpo, it felt like he was mostly centered, but you saw him pop in on the wings a lot, which is what he does.
Right. It's like I think it was Bigler who brought it up. They have two very different backgrounds in terms of how they were
Yeah.
brought up. Gakpo's like this, Dutch school, intelligence on the ball and all that, while Nunez is just raw physicality. And I think that actually they actually complement each other very well. So I think if ever you're going to have a starting front three, I think you have to have those two together because you mentioned it with Diaz. When he makes those runs, it's like Nunez makes that run as well. So they kind of collide with each other, and then it ends up screwing up the flow of the game. And we've seen that week after week. So I think whether it's Nunez there in the left wing, Nunez in the center, Gakpo in the left wing or Gakpo in the center, I think it's a workable combination. And I think it's actually something that Klopp is going to be looking at going forward, especially when Mo leaves, because I know we're kind of we kind of got the wind in our sails right now, but boy, that AFCON thing when Mo leaves and when Endo leaves as well for the Asia Cup is kind of like the shadow behind me that's looming over my positivity, for this season. So
So hold on, we're gonna say Gustavo's name because he wants his name heard for some reason. But
right.
I'll oblige on Instagram over here since we're live on Instagram as well. Good old Stephen Cook says this is during festive fixtures. All these games will be stressful. Games every couple of days is great for fans, though. Is it though? Because I don't know if I stress every 2 3 days. I don't know about that, but yeah, I thought the first one going back to the goal, I do agree with that. We'll come to the negativity at the end. Hang in there, hang in there. Let's get the positive out of the way. But yeah, I think the first one, it goes with whatever they called on the fields, and it's like the clear and obvious bullshit. Which was it clear and obvious that it wasn't a foul? No, that's the problem, right? Like you could
Yeah.
not really tell, but really there is not much, and that does not get called if it's somewhere in midfield. Somehow it gets called in the box. That was kind of like how about the second goal? Because I think we have slightly different takes on the one.
Yeah.
Elliott's goal, which your boy Gravenberg set up, so it would have been an assist for your boy. That
Yeah.
got robbed. So what do you make of that one?
Yeah, I don't know if you caught what Klopp said. I kind of agree with what he said there. Like the only way you chalk that off rather, is if you haven't played the sport. And come on, like you went to the monitor to look at it. So you saw the push, right? Like that's my whole thing. Like everyone gets pushed, but you saw the push. So in a way, like wouldn't that even things out, right? Like okay, he's offside, but he was pushed there. So wouldn't that constitute some sort of I don't know, a foul, kind of like I don't know, man. Like I was just bitter because, like I told you at the start of the broadcast, my boy Gravenbridge has been stinking up the place so much. So when he got that assist, I was like, let's go. It's a good platform to build on. And it's a harsh goal. I can see why they took it away, but I don't know. It kind of felt like they were looking for a reason, right? Like, yeah, Matoush probably puts it best here. It's not a consistent call, so it kind of depends on what the ref is feeling that day. I feel like you can make genuine arguments on both sides, whether it should be given or whether it should not be given. But I think the fairest thing that you can probably come up with is if he didn't give that goal, right? I think he probably it doesn't stand. I feel if he didn't give the goal, it's not a goal. Well, I don't know where I'm going with this. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, I don't know where you're
It's
going with
crisp.
this.
Yeah.
I mean, they gave the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah,
They gave the
they
goal
gave the goal.
initially.
Yeah, they gave the goal. I'm
But
sorry.
even
It's
when the
yeah,
goal goes in, you look
yeah.
at Mo, and Mo's like, "Yeah, I have nothing to do with this," because
Mm,
I think he knows he's in the path of the ball, and I
right.
think he knows he got pushed into an offside position. I personally did not. Unpopular opinion, but I did not have a problem with that one. I feel it's like he's off. He's in the way. Is the goalie saving that? No, but do you know for sure? No. What if he makes like a, which he was making some ridiculous saves? He is going the wrong way, but we don't know his reflexes. Maybe he's gonna go down real fast with his left hand and save it. You never know.
Okay.
And being pushed into offside, like Mitsuru said, I cannot recall the game, man, but there was a game when Sadio does that, like 2 or 3 years ago, and it almost like saves the day. Like we were like, what the hell? Oh, good. And I remember it was like, oh, we're smart by Sadio there, kind of a thing. And you are kind of taught that in a way where if somebody's messing with the line a little bit more, you're like, hey, you like that line here? Go to the other side of it. And you kind of do that. If you're bumping, you don't want to bump the guy inside. You want to bump the guy outside, because then if he bumps you outside, you're the one screwing up the entire line. So
I
you're
think I
taught to
know.
kind of like bump out
Right.
so that he is off.
Yeah, I think I saw. I think I know what goal you're talking about. Was it the one against Norwich, where where Hendo plays a long ball, and then I think the defender was up in him, and then he pushes him away to get space. Was that what
Yes.
you? Yeah. Was that what you meant?
And Cousins is too wrong. I don't think it's so wrong. I mean, you do that. It happens every freaking time. This one, I have to admit, was a bit too blatant, or Mo really flew off with that, because he went like a long distance usually, like, or he wasn't expecting, his feet wasn't set or something like that, because he really went like he was like a long time. So,
Yeah.
but I thought overall, I don't know, that happens all the time. And if you happen to be off, it's off, because it's not a foul. Because then what are we saying? It should be a penalty because it was in the box, wasn't it?
My whole thing is what the point that I was going at a while ago, where I kind of messed up a little bit, was it was already given. So
Blame
I kind
the
of feel.
COVID.
Sorry.
Blame the COVID.
Yeah, blame the COVID. I blame the COVID. Right. I feel like it's kind of like how the first call went. Like the decision on the floor, regardless of whether there's an interpretation or whatever, is the decision on the floor. So I feel like for consistency's sake, the first goal was chalked off. For Darwin, for Nunez pushing, they went with it. This one they gave it. I felt like they should have gone with it. For consistency's sake, regardless of whether Mo was pushed or whatever.
But okay, take the push away. It's offside, right?
I mean, see, the ball was traveling the opposite way, right? It was going to the goalkeeper's near post, while Mo was pushed kind of towards the outer side of the goalie, right? Like, if anything, the goalie should be diving here, whereas Mo was kind of here, right? Like, I don't know. I know I'm being demonstrative right now, but like, I don't know, man.
All I see is dancing. I'm thinking, all right, TikTok is coming.
Right.
That's all I can think of. I mean, but okay, we're going with the fact that he's offside. I think we can all agree that you're not, but I feel like he's offside. I mean, it's clear because he is offside. Of the goalie. Right. And is the goalie saving that? Probably not. Do we know for sure? No, because like I say, he made some crazy saves. I mean, yeah, like you said, Jurgen said, yeah, only somebody who never played football make an offside call. I don't agree with that. I know that has nothing to do with not knowing the game or anything like that. At that point, he's offside. Is the push is what makes him offside, but that push happens all the freaking time. And that's why you can't go back. I do not see them going back and saying, oh, he wasn't normally off. He got pushed off. Doesn't matter. When the ball was touched, he's off. With the bump, yes. I don't know. Yeah, I felt like that wasn't as harsh. And I felt like mainly because you look at Mo knew it. The moment that ball went in, Mo knew it. You can see in his like initial reaction, like, hey, I had nothing to do with this, even though he knows he does. And then the fact that, during the celebration, you can see that he's like, this might not go our way. Let's not over celebrate kind of thing. Is it enough to overturn it?
That's exactly why I'm going with that's why I'm going with the whole, just go with the call on the floor. Right.
Well, because it is enough to overturn it. He's offside.
Well, because of a push.
But he's offside.
Right. Like
Goal
that's
is
why that's
overturned because he's offside, and people get pushed into the offside position all the freaking time. All the freaking time.
yeah,
That's why
I
you're always
understand. I
told to
understand.
bump the
Yeah.
guy towards the goal and not bump the guy in, because if you get bumped back, you're the one screwing the line. But I mean, like, I understand what you guys are saying. It was
Yeah.
rough. It was harsh because he's getting pushed into that position, and he's maybe getting pushed a bit too blatantly. Normally, it's like a shoulder push or something like that. I mean, he got pushed like freaking like 10 feet into the freaking box. But I feel like once he's off, he is off. And yeah, this is where I agree with Kazi. Either way, it is enough to overturn a goal if the guy is off. I mean, he's off. The reason why he's off is not going to be a consideration, I think, when they watch it.
Yeah, it's tough. So
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we don't.
yeah,
I mean, I didn't like it because I was like,
yeah,
finally, the game is done, kind of a thing, and then
yeah.
wonk, 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 it was not.
The best thing about it, I guess, is that it didn't matter at the end. Right,
Yes.
like it wasn't like, because I feel like if this was like a genuine thing that we talked about, for example, Burnley got the equalizer or something and it ends up
Yes.
as a draw, oh boy, this is going to get magnified to like 100-fold. So thankfully it didn't matter at the end, and that's because my boy here, it's what he does. He scores. That's all he
Yes,
does.
he does. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely good to get him back. But before we move to that, let's talk about Elliott a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you make of this game? Because finally, it's. I mean, I would think that it's a very well deserved starting 11 gig for him. What did you make of his performance overall?
Yeah, we kind of worry about him starting, right? Because there's like a consensus that he's always better coming off the bench, going up against depleted, players who've kind of run themselves ragged. But it was a very energetic performance from him, and he was easily, probably along with Endo, he was slightly better. I think he's our best midfielder yesterday in terms of keeping things going. The fact that we kind of panned Burnley in towards the first half, Burnley didn't really get any chances. I feel like that was him. In terms of like the industry and keeping things ticking and being on the right spots during the press and everything. Like let's be real, Burnley couldn't get out of their own half during the first half because of our press. And I think Elliott, he's been here a while. He knows the system. He knows where to be during the press is a big thing. And that's kind of like what I'm looking for Szoboszlai. Like when you're attacking, it's not always gonna come off right in terms of like the shots, the passes, and everything. So you got to find a way to contribute outside of the attacking. And Elliott is not the fastest, he's not the quickest, but he's smart. He knows where to be, right? And I think yesterday was like a perfect example of his impact on the team. And he showed that he's just as good as a starter than he is coming off the bench. So I think it was Galley or Bickler who said it. He probably isn't going to be starting, but he's definitely staked a claim to be in that starting 11, maybe against Newcastle or wherever, because he's just that good.
I think it goes back to when we talk about, like Jones and his
Yeah.
contribution. It's another person on the pitch who knows how the
Yeah.
ball should be played, where the ball should go, what should be done, and stuff like that. You watch
Yeah.
your boy Gravenberch and even Szoboszlai after he comes in. I feel like at times they try to create or they try to make something happen. Hey, it could be the green light given to them and said, hey, this is what this is your gig. He's going to do the basics. You take the chances, kind of a thing, almost like a fourth attacker, if you will. But I feel like there are times where, they dive in between two players or something like that instead of moving the ball or keeping the ball that Jones does, Elliott does, more of how we normally play. Like I say, we don't know if Klopp is giving them instructions as to do these things. I feel not. My guess is no. This is kind of like their nature, and they're not totally into the system yet. But I agree with Elliott. I thought he was very, I guess, productive is a good word. And then he makes other people sick because of all the little things that he does that you might not be like, oh, look what he did. He got in the box or whatever. But he's helping create. He's helping defend. I mean, I would agree that Elliott's and Mo did more defending on that right wing than Trent did all game, like tracking back. I mean, there's like, dude, I know I'm like harsh on Trent, but for fuck's sakes, there's a situation where the dude in midfield dives in between Mo and Trent, gets past them with a move, and then keeps going. Trent is just kind of jogging back. Mo is the one sprinting back. There is something very fucking wrong there. And if you don't want to see that and still say Trent should play 6, If you want your six jogging back to position, there you go.
I,
Work with
I
strength.
love I love how no one mentioned Trent at the 6, and you're like, fuck Trent at
That
the
hurts
6.
me all the time. In the,
Yeah.
I know
Now I
somebody
get
out there's thinking it. Damn
I
it.
get what you mean, Tim. Like whenever he's squared up 1-on-1 against a player, he clearly doesn't fancy it. Like the player does like a basic move and gets past him, and he's just like, I got Kwanzaa or Konate. They're gonna help me out. It's fine. We're gonna get through this. Like Big Verge over there at the far post, we got this. I can let him through.
And it was 1-0 at the time when that
Yeah.
happened. And I was like, you gotta be freaking shitting me. And then,
Yeah.
2 minutes later, he's on the attacking side and does cracks that shot with the left. I was like, holy cow. But you got to do both. You have to be able to do both, especially with
Yeah.
the shortage we have now in right back, left back. Speaking of, your boy Joey G
Yeah.
as left back, I thought he did really well. What did you think?
Yeah. We didn't talk. I wasn't around during the Arsenal post match, right? But I
Yeah.
wanted to say he was a bigger threat at left back when he came in than
Yeah.
Luis Diaz was on the left side. and that's kind of indicative of how good Gomez has been playing. Obviously, it's a position that he doesn't favor. Like he's right-footed, so like kind of the feel of the whole thing is a bit off for him. But man, if we're talking about unsung heroes this year, in terms of playing multiple positions and doing it at a really good to great level, Joe Gomez has been that guy. And it's just, where would we be without him this year? Like we've had an injury to Trent. Now we have no left back with Costas and Robertson out, and he's obviously going to be there to deputize. He's probably a manager's dream there for the defense. Like he can play
It's a new James Milner.
Right. He's the new James Milner, but for the defensive side. And like I'm saying, if you're talking about this is why I'm a little high on Trent at the 6, because I feel like Joe Gomez can be our permanent right back. You're talking about someone who can defend, who's not that bad on the ball. Like he can put a good cross in, and he could drive forward with that ball. Not as good as Trent, because Trent's like generational. But yeah, he's still pretty decent there. So I really feel like that is probably his
position. John. Don't freaking do this. Do not do this.
Right. You know what? I'll stop before I just.
I'm going to go back to the game. I'm going to clip that. Anytime somebody says Trent to be 6, I'm just going to play that and say, if you want a 6 jogging as the winger Mo, your top attacking guy is tracking back, sprinting. If this is what you want as 6, let's freaking do it. But
and Alan says
that was in a nutshell.
Right. Alan says here that Gomez is taking more shots on goal. You know what, Alan? I'm all for it. Please, just score that goal so we can just get off his ass for it. I feel so bad for him. Like, he's been such a good servant.
And every time he takes a shot, man, like, they have to bring it up in commentary.
Right.
Fun fact, he hasn't scored yet, kind of thing. It's just like, Jesus Christ. But I don't know. Yeah, I do agree with Alan, though. He has been a lot more aggressive. When playing back. In the past, I thought he always felt like this is my strength, the defensive side of things. I think he's realizing, hey, he has the speed, obviously, to be able to push up. But Steve says it's insane where we are right now after rebuilding our entire midfield. Szoboszlai and Gravenberch are both still learning. And I think that's the biggest part, right? The glimmer of hope there is that you see these guys so talented attackingly, when they have space and the things they can do and stuff like that. And if once they learn how to play the midfield position, like, Jones and Elliott and stuff like that within the system, that is a very dangerous. Oh, there you go. Matush says Gomez at the 6. Let the record show I'm more comfortable Gomez at 6 than Trent at 6.
Come on, Tim. You saw that pass against Arsenal, and you're telling me it doesn't warm you inside? Like a good hot chocolate on a.
You can pay. You don't have to be a 6. You don't have to be a midfield.
Well, I get it.
I don't know where this thing came from. Just because you pass doesn't mean Mo pass is great. Why don't we make him 6?
No, I understand. But then as a deep lying playmaker, which, like, look at the positions he takes. Like, I understand it's the double pivot. Right, he's probably there because of the double pivot. But if we move him there permanently, less ground to cover as a right back, because when he's at the double pivot, he always has to go back to that right side, so it's more movement for him.
He does he?
Yeah. He does.
But does he?
Well, he doesn't. But then I don't know, man. I feel like this is kind of like a deal where the positives out. You know what? I'll just stop. Where were we? Gomez at the 6, right? Gomez
Gomez
at the
at the
6.
6, I love,
Yeah.
actually. I mean, I don't love, but I like it more than Trent because I feel like it's good defensively. I don't know. You guys kill me with this, man. I mean, like,
It's
I'm
just
gonna
to
clip
be
that.
fair.
I'm gonna keep. I'm not even gonna say anything from now on. I'm just gonna put that clip, and then you guys can watch and we're like, "Is this what you want at 6?" I didn't think so, and then we're just gonna move on. But let's talk about Endo since we're talking about 6. The
Yes.
guy who was actually 6, Endo. What did you make of him?
I know we call him a 6, but he's been a 9 out of 10 over the last few games.
Ooh,
Yeah, he's been really good. Like I did not think he could be this good. He did not look like he did belong, right? He looked like he belonged during that Arsenal Liverpool game. He
yes.
looked just as good as 100 million Declan Rice, and I was like, "Holy hell. I haven't seen a defensive midfielder look this good since prime Fabinho for us." Like in terms of what he does breaking up the play, making the hitting those forward balls in. It's just everything you ask from a club 6. He did it well. That wayward pass yesterday aside, he's been really good. Like I said, a 9 out of 10. And we always talk about Salah going this January. Endo going, that's gonna be a problem. I feel.
Yeah. Hold on. Due to high number of injuries, the team will require defender in January, says Jim. Yeah, I mean, hard to argue with that. The
Yeah,
way I know, as well as Kwanzaa has played, I think it really depends on how far off Robertson is, right? If
yeah,
Robertson is coming right away, but still you're a center back short, knowing Matip is gone,
yeah,
and you can't rely on Konate because he's very injury prone as well.
yeah,
That's like the biggest part that scares me.
yeah. The fact that Klopp can't play him for 2 straight games is really worrying,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm like, dude, this guy needs to establish himself with Van Dijk. He needs that run of games. But then how can he? Well, he keeps getting benched
Bringing out
for
all the classics this morning. It must be
right,
the
right.
cold.
He needs that run of games, and the fact that Klopp can't trust him to go through that run of games is very worrying. So, yeah, to
Yeah.
your point, I think we need a center back, but a center back that can play left back as well, kind of like another Joe Gomez, let's say,
Yes.
right?
That works for me
Yeah,
actually, because right now everything really hinges on Gomez going all over the place,
yeah,
becoming the new Milner. Alan says Ando has really grown to the number 6 position. He said for me he was man of the match yesterday.
probably. Maybe. Well, you go ahead, Tim. Who was your man of the match?
No, I was thinking that was the hamster running inside. That silence you might heard the squeaky wheel in the background, but
Right.
I would probably say, and dare I say, Nunez actually.
It's a shame this isn't a Friday show. That's all
I
I
know,
can
not
say.
only because of the goal, which goes back to what you were talking about, I think last week, when he doesn't think he's so
Yeah,
good,
yeah,
and just don't think out there.
yeah,
Aside from that, I know he a couple of interplays, the ball went the wrong way and stuff like that. But I thought Ando did well, but definitely was not maybe because of the Arsenal game, where he was so good. I mean, he gives away that ball at the very end of the game. That could have been brutal,
yeah,
and definitely would not be seen man of the match. And there was one or two incidents where he was caught on the ball. I felt like against Arsenal, he was not risking it at all. So even though there were times where he can turn with the ball, he was not turning. He was passing it.
yeah.
So he was giving it up rather than being caught on the ball. So more cautious. I'll go with that. It's better than losing the ball. Yesterday, it's almost like as he feels more comfortable, he tries to do more.
Yeah.
And those are the times where at times he can give that ball away. I'm all good with it when we're up 2-3, but it was risky a couple of times yesterday. Who was your man of the match?
Ooh, I'll go with a left field here and go Virgil van Dijk. I
Oh,
felt
your boy. What a shocker.
yeah. I think especially when Burnley were kind of getting back into the whole thing when the crowd got going. I think we don't talk about it as much. There were worries about Verge as a captain this year, but I think
Yeah.
he's been a 9 out of 10 captain. Especially, I don't know if you caught the Arsenal game when everyone was just slow to getting into transition, and he was calling everyone to just go. I feel like from a leadership standpoint, he's been good to great this year, and I felt like in those situations, especially when we're playing away, we're kind of under the caution. The crowd is getting into it. I think he's done a great job this year and kind of calming everything down. I know that's his whole shtick, calm as you like. But I felt like Kwanzaa was really good yesterday as well because of not taking anything away from him, right? But it's really great to have like someone as good, as experienced, as calm as Big Verge right next to you. So I think he's probably my man of the match, considering how it especially looked like crap, they're getting into the game. We're definitely going to concede one here. I felt at home with Big Verge there. I did not feel at all like seeing him just go like this calmed me down as well. So
There's no Verge enough to calm me down when it's only a one goal. I'm sure you can have 3 Verges back there saying they're doing this. I'm not going to be calm.
Like you said, since 1974.
Yeah, it's just 1974. This is how I roll. But because I always worry, like, I don't know, probably got been screwed so many times that,
Right.
I'm worried about a stupid bounce, a wrong bounce, a bad call, you name it. Or like the way handball goes these days, a stupid handball in the box and stuff like that. And you can kind of like kiss 2 points away. And it was a game that you did not want to because it felt like it should have been 4-5. And honestly, if that goal doesn't get chalked off, Gakpo's goal, I think it does become 4-5. That game gets ugly because Burnley started the game thinking, man, we're not going to win this. And after it was 1-0 so early, if you did the 2, I thought it was going to go downhill. Well, downhill for them, uphill for us, I guess. But Steve says, man of the match, Jota. We need them back putting away most of the chances he gets. So let's talk about that. Obviously, Mo is going to play against Newcastle. Then he's gone. So you can kiss that goodbye. So we'll talk about Jota for one. Gally sent this morning, which is kind of scary in some ways, but I don't know if you take it as a positive. That was his first assist in 33 appearances. That's pretty rough for a winger. That's like United winger stats, if you will.
Right.
What do you make of that? So now that Jota is back, which is perfect timing, thank freaking God.
Yes.
Because I do agree with Steve on Instagram here that, he is key to if Jota comes in earlier yesterday, I think we put that game away a lot earlier yesterday. Jota does not do I guess that's what I like about him, right? He doesn't do the fancy stuff. Yeah. Like, there are times where we have a lead when the game is comfortable. That's what was getting to me yesterday. We almost do a little too many passes. We get a little bit fancy. How about if I flick it to you, you flick it back to me, and then we score? What a beautiful goal, kind of a thing. Like, it's almost like start playing for fun, which is great if you're up 2-3. Whereas
but it's just
does not get into. He doesn't play those games. He's gonna get it, beat the guy in front of him, and then if he has the goal in sight, he's gonna crack a shot and usually hit the corner. But so front 3, when I gave you just Diaz stats right now, and Jota back, what is your front 3 now after the first game, after Newcastle game?
Newcastle game, well...
Hold on, let me see. After Newcastle, because you're going to play and use and abuse Mo. I mean, Arsenal, FA Cup, and then we play Fulham in the EFL Cup. But let's say against Bournemouth away.
Right.
In the next Premier League game after the Newcastle game, what is your front 3?
So I'm going to go with a left field choice here. I think Luis Diaz at the right wing could be an experiment, playing more of a traditional winger, crossing the ball in. I know that's not his game, but I feel like we need to do something in order for him to get his rhythm. And Matouche is perfectly, on point here. Tough to get an assist when you consistently cut into defenders. Right. The thing with Jota is he hasn't registered an assist this year as well. So and you might think that kind of softens the Diaz thing a little bit, but Jota scores. He actually scores. And that's the problem with Luis Diaz as well. If you're not assisting, if you're not scoring, what are you doing? You're not doing anything. So, if we're talking about the pecking order of wingers, right, of our attackers, rather, Luis Diaz, unfortunately, is rock bottom. And I know last Friday I felt like I was kind of hating on him too much. But unfortunately, the stats speak for themselves. So I think, given that we're gonna miss Mo, throughout the AFCON and everything, and Ben Doak is injured, I think it's worth experimenting with Diaz on the right wing, where he can still use that speed and be a bit more. I don't want to say one-dimensional, but when you're a traditional right winger, a right-footed right winger, all you can do is get that cross in. And I feel like for him, he kind of has to go back to basics first. And to be fair, what do we have to lose? We don't really have anyone there who could play right wing. Like, I'd rather Luis Diaz there over. Well, Matush makes a good point here. Harvey or Sobo right wing before Diaz. Yeah, I think so. That's a good shout as well. So I guess Bournemouth. Actually, yeah. You know what? Harvey at right wing for Bournemouth. Harvey at right wing. Uh, Gakpo at left wing. Nunez striker. Jota off the bench. To answer your question.
See, I don't mind the Diaz on the right side thing because I know we talked about this before, but I feel some of Diaz's struggles on the left is because of Nunez. Because Nunez constantly slides to the left as well. So there are a lot of times where I think we were talking about this on the Monday night podcast. There are a lot of times where Diaz cuts in and then it's like, oh shit, Nunez
is there.
or and then Nunez's guy is there as well. I mean, that's like the worst part. That's not a big deal if Nunez is there, but the guy who's covering Nunez is there as well. So you already have a defender in front of Diaz, a guy kind of like the backup in case that guy gets beat. And now you have Nunez's guy too. So it becomes a 2v3 every freaking time because Nunez, I mean, we talked about this a lot in the past. Same thing he did in Benfica. Like, he slides left. He likes going left. That's why Nunez is a left wing, Gakpo in the middle, Szoboszlai on the right wing is probably my choice right now.
Harvey? No.
The lack of speed with Harvey is the concern over there, I think. Szoboszlai is actually, I mean, at least he looks. I don't know. I didn't see them run a sprint race, but definitely faster with the ball as well. If anything, I would say midfield, but Mac is supposed to be back January as well. I would probably do a Jones, Mac,
Harvey,
Endo. Oh, Endo is gone.
Yeah,
so
Endo's gone.
Going to have to replace. I mean, then you can do a Mac, Jones, Elliott midfield.
Yeah, I think that's probably
that
the
would
midfield.
Be Reckless says. By the way, shout out to our guys at Reckless Coasters, Rester Coffee Brewing, who are our sponsors. If you did not use them for Christmas gifts, and I get into you, if you do use them for Christmas gifts, somebody's ordering replacements right now because that stuff is really good. Hence, I'm done with my mug pretty much. So let's go back to the midfield then. So if you push Elliott, then who do you play at that midfield? Of course, you're gonna play your boy Gravenberg.
Actually, no. I'll go Maka, Szoboszlai, and Jones.
Oh, so you basically switch Szoboszlai and Elliott.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'll put Harvey because I feel like Harvey. He's not, like I said, he's not the quickest. He's not the strongest. But he's really smart, right? So I feel like he can be a bit tricky there as a right winger. Obviously, interchanging with Szoboszlai would also be ideal. So, I mean, obviously, we're just fans here. If Klopp didn't plan for this, then questions seriously have to be asked. Unless we're going for a sneaky right winger buy like we did with Gakpo last year. I feel like he's either going to go Harvey or maybe Szoboszlai or Diaz, like I said a while ago. Because, listen, it's a very critical part of the field that we're going to be losing when Mo leaves. Yeah. So if Klopp doesn't have a solution, that's just borderline negligent right there. So
yeah, I mean, you would think it's not like they're like, what? African Cup is this year? Or I'm sure like there's some kind of a plan for it. I don't see anything happening in January up top because, like I say, it's not like it wouldn't have been planned. So if I told you can get one guy, oh, there you go. Matthew says Trent at right wing was the answer all along. I would rather, let the record show, I would rather have Trent at right wing than at number 6.
I'm not surprised at all. Granted, I think he can do a job. I think he can do a job there.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Trent in goal before I have Trent at number 6.
Right.
That's a different story. Trent at right wing would be interesting. Too bad we don't have a right back to put in place because Gomez is playing left back. But so if you had a choice of bringing in only one player this January, you have a quota of one player.
One player?
Yes. Not who, I guess, but because we're not a scouting department over here. They're on vacation. But who would you, like, which position would you sign people for? The person for, since you only get one.
So that's a tricky question, but probably going to go with a left-sided CB who can play left back as well. Because I feel like for all our issues for defensive midfield, I know Endo's leaving, right? But before Endo kind of got going, McAllister was doing a job there as well. so we can have him as our emergency cover for defensive midfield. And again, if worst comes to worst, we can have a certain number 66 play defensive
Oh
midfield.
my God.
So I'm gonna ride this train to death, Tim. That right now
Yeah,
it's
that train is just asking for derailments. That's all I can say. That train is headed for
right.
disaster.
So
Tunnel with no end. Left-footed side, yeah, center
yeah,
back hybrid Elvis as well by
yeah.
Mitush. Um, and yes, Instagram Steve says the same. Need defensive help. I think so too because I feel like once the Asian Cup is over, and like who would have said we would say this a month ago, right? Like
Yeah.
for the last few months, if anything, Klopp might not have been prepared for Endo leaving
Yeah.
more than Mo leaving because I know we got kind of offhanded where for months we talked about what's going to happen when Mo's gone, what's going to happen when Mo's gone. It was never, oh yeah, that's right, Endo is leaving too, was the conversation at the time. Whereas now it has become, oh shit, Endo is leaving. Is that because Mac is out? Like, do you think if Mac comes in and Endo is available, who do you think Klopp is playing at that spot?
I think right now, based on form, Endo. Like if Klopp is going, I know Klopp is like a purely form based manager. If something's working, he seems like a logical guy where he'll stick with what works, and it makes sense because this system is at its best with a true DM, right? So we might as well keep playing Endo there. And like I said, he did not look lost playing against Arsenal's midfield, which arguably is the best defensive midfielder, with Declan Rice there. He did not look lost at all. So that's I'm kind of riding high on the Endo train right now. So if everyone was healthy, I think our best midfield is probably going to be a mix of Endo, Soboslai, and maybe Mac or Jones on that left side. Interchangeable, I think. So actually, you know what? Let me bring this up here. I feel like we're being too lenient on Szoboszlai. I think he hasn't really established himself on that right center midfield position. He's been meh for like the past few weeks. So
Oh, like
some
I would say like a month at least.
right, probably a month. So I dare say his position is under threat right now by a Harvey Elliott, like right now. So we could actually see a midfield of Endo, Elliott, McAllister, or
Okay, let
Jones.
me ask you that because you
Right,
said Klopp is the guy by form.
right,
By form, wouldn't Elliott always start over Soboslai? Because I don't think that's the case. This is just
right.
because it's 3 days later.
Right. I think it's just because why Harvey hasn't been starting. I think Klopp sees him as a better off the bench player. But yesterday clearly showed that he can start off games well. And if Szoboszlai doesn't improve significantly, like I don't want to sound negative here. We're still top of the league and everything. And this is still our first season with these midfielders. But there are times where it's frustrating with Sobo, where like I told you a while ago, Tim, before the broadcast started, during that break a while ago, you would bet your house he would take that long shot, an
Yes.
ill-advised long, and he took it, of course. Like Sobo, come on, man, like seriously, a craftier player like Elliot would probably spray it out to the left or the right side where Mo is, and we probably score there. So as frustrating as it's been, at least we've got options, right? At least we're having these
Yeah.
conversations. We're not stuck with an out of form Sobo. So I think, yeah, my point is I think it wouldn't be out of the question to drop Sobo at some point until he finds his form for maybe an inform Harvey Elliott.
Yeah, he's like a shooting guard, man. He hasn't seen the
Yeah.
shots he hasn't liked, right? Like he's
Yeah.
freaking like cracking up from all over the place. And I think people fall in love with that sometimes, that
Yeah.
threat of, you're gonna say shoot, and he is going to shoot because he
It's
was
because
going to shoot even if he didn't say shoot anyway, kind of an ordeal. But
no one shot with our old midfield.
yes.
It was only Oxlade Chamberlain. No one in
Good
our
old
old midfield.
Ox. He's
Yeah.
injured again. Imagine that. He just has
Right.
surgery.
Yeah.
I just saw the headline yesterday that he's injured for Besiktas. I was like, no way. So I guess going back to that Endo Mac thing, it's going to be interesting to see if Klopp really envisions Mac at the sixth long term, or he was the best option we had at the time
Right.
with Endo not being ready. Because it feels like you watch Endo right now, Endo is ready for the spot. But it's going to be interesting to see that, was he all along like we were waiting for Endo to be ready? or he feels like this is the long-term plan, Mac at 6. Like this was the long-term midfield, Mac, Gravenberg, Soboslai. What's your gut feeling?
I think it's still probably going to be a traditional 6. I think the fact that McAllister wore the number 10 shirt kind of says it all, I feel, because he can't
That's
be
fair.
wearing that number 10 shirt playing at the 6. It just looks weird, right? And secondly, I know we shifted towards a double pivot, right? But I don't know if people recall last year when we shifted to this double pivot, Fabinho looked okay. Like he looked like he couldn't run anymore last year, but when we shifted over to this formation, he actually looked okay. So I think whether it's our traditional 4-3-3 with Trent more on that right back position or this hybrid of like a double pivot, I think it works well with a true DM more. So whether that's going to be Endo or we buy an actual another defensive midfielder, that's a pure DM, I think that's the way to go. I think McAllister stays at the 8th position.
That's fair. I think you get
Yeah.
the best out of him as well. I mean, that's
Right.
probably, I mean, my ideal. I would just like to get in Klopp's brain on that one. Is he
Yeah.
seeing that, I can make this guy a 6 and I would have a 8 in a 6 kind of thing. And it goes back to Matush was talking about Endo, Elliott, and Mag will be the smallest midfield in the league. I think that's one thing that Endo has that's not going for him is he's not as I mean, you might not have the height and win the head air ball, which he does win a lot of headers actually. So height is not necessarily doesn't mean that you're not going to win the head balls, but he does get bullied off the ball quite often. That you did not get that with Fabinho as much. Even if he got caught on the ball, he did not get bullied off the ball, and he was able to dump it back to Van Dijk or Gomez or whatever. Whereas I feel like Endo kind of takes the tumble over there, but. I mean, at the end of the day, you look, and we're at the top of the league,
Yeah.
hoping for a West Ham favor tomorrow. Where do you see us? Like, how do you think this January, these two guys going on? Will it hurt, or are you looking to sacrifice a cup here and there to make sure you have like a solid starting 11 during the tournament? I mean, really, there are not that many games in January for the league. You have the
Yeah.
Bournemouth away is the first one, and then you have Chelsea at home on the 31st, and then Arsenal away on February 4th. So 2 huge games coming up there. I don't know. Obviously, it depends on when these guys get eliminated in terms of when they'll get back.
Right. Yeah, I think we don't go far in the FA Cup. I actually think Arsenal takes us down, considering the lack of options. And I think it's actually going to be more beneficial for us because if I was gonna predict how the season would end, right, and I'm gonna go with my prediction this year. I don't think we win the league. I think we challenge. I don't think we win the league, but
So
I
who
think
wins the
we
league?
Man City.
Damn you,
Yeah,
John. Where's the
Man.
positivity this morning?
Yeah, I
Goddamn
just.
COVID virus got you down.
But I think we win the Europa and the League Cup. That's my whole thing. Which is, by all accounts, for a rebuilding year, top 4 and 2 cups. I'll take that all day long, right? Considering we had a massive overall this year, new midfield, key players gone. I take that all day long. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but you know, next year,
Okay, let me do it. You try. You give me two. Okay, how about I give you the Premier League and nothing else?
oh, of course, I'll take the Premier League and nothing
Oh,
else.
okay. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
I know you
yeah.
were pretty happy with the 2 trophies. I was trying to see if I can snatch.
Yeah. But I just feel like you were asking Tim how I feel like this January is gonna go. I feel like it's gonna play a massive part in terms of how the season ends because as much as we're talking about options, what we're gonna do when Salah's gone, it's Mo Salah. Like we bought him for 43 million. Throughout his Liverpool career, he's been worth quadruple or quintuple that amount. Like he don't replace what he gives, and I think that's gonna catch up to us one way or another. Unfortunately, like I know I'm like the positive one of the show, but even
What happened here? What is the role reversal?
What I mean, obviously we're gonna go
Bizarro Wednesday over here. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I know we're gonna go. I know we're gonna go to you in a sec, but I just feel like Salah is that big of a loss, and we're not even considering Endo as well, because when McAllister comes back, you're obviously gonna play him as the 6. How ready is he to play that demanding a role as well when Endo leaves and we have to bring him back, right? Unless we buy someone, I feel like it's gonna be a rocky road. We're gonna get a few kinks here and there. So I don't know what you think.
Yeah, because obviously we're assuming like things as is, nobody coming in because we have no
Yes.
idea who's going to come in. So I get that.
Yes.
Um, I don't know. I feel maybe it's false hope, and what the hell has happened that I'm not
Right. Right. It's like
one. But I feel like we said this last time, and this team did just fine when Mo left. Okay, because I think it's almost like I feel like as important as he is, like you're saying,
yeah.
everybody knows how important he is at the same time. So it almost becomes like going down to 10 men with a red card, where everybody understands we're down a man. We got to do 10%, 15% more to make up that difference.
Right.
You know, that it happens in a team that goes down to 10 men. Everybody on the pitch says, holy shit, we're down to 10. We got to do more. And I kind of get that feeling with the squad. And I think I have a lot more faith in the depth of the squad compared to the squads we have had in the past. In midfield, in front, barring another injury. And that's why I do agree. And that's why I kind of asked you to see what you think. I think we're on the same page there in regards of the FA Cup. I'm okay with, just like rotating and stuff like that, keeping people healthy, not all going for it, constantly trotting them out there to win every single game while Mo is gone. I do think if there are, barring any more injuries, the squad depth is good enough to be able to keep up with Mo's absence. And there are people who can step up to the plate. I think before you looked on the bench and you were like, oh, great opportunity. And that was pretty much it, really. Like, I don't recall a lot of people you said, oh, he'll come off the bench. We were relying on like Doak and stuff, like maybe Doak will come, the Polish Messi will come and stuff like that. And I feel like you look at Elliott's, I don't know, like Jota or Diaz, whoever comes off the bench. In midfield, you have options. You have like Jones, Mack is coming back. And we do forget that we have been missing our half of our attack in some ways on the left wing with Robertson out of the equation for months now because we've survived without it. That is a huge, huge piece that I think we've forgotten. I know he wasn't in peak form when he got injured,
right.
But still what he does and what he brings on the pitch in terms of effort and stuff too, that's a huge miss that you're going to get back. Potentially Cuz will struggle understanding how we play without Mo. And yeah, that's another good point actually. A ton of goals as he hasn't been great overall as he has been. Yes, it is blasphemous. You should be ashamed, Polish Prince. I think it's one of those things where, Henderson, who went for generational wealth in Saudi Arabia, it's kind of like, when you take a guy away, you understand what he did a lot more. But I'm counting on the fact that everybody realizes Mo's value and what he does. So it will be a different ball game, people putting in more. The problem is whoever comes in transfer window will simply need time to bet in. Whoever that is, I don't think it will make a difference from the get-go. I do agree with that. So which position would be easier, center back or defensive mid, you think, for Klopp to bet in?
Oh, I think center back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like defensive midfield, man, it took Endo a bit and he's experienced. McAllister, as good as he has been being a square peg in a round hole. He took a bit. Like he's been giving away those like passes in risky areas and everything. So it takes a bit for defensive midfield. So that's why I probably go with the left-sided center back / left back hybrid as the signing.
Okay, so I'm going to give you this because we got to do a prediction on the way out because we always do predictions on the way out. Month of January, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. 2 of them against Fulham, obviously. 1 Arsenal away, Bournemouth away, Newcastle home, Chelsea home, 6 games. Prediction time, buddy. Give me our records. What do we do?
Okay, I feel like we beat Newcastle this first.
Getting him at a good time, which is, thank God.
Yeah. League Cup, we advance. We just get it over 2 legs. We feel like we have enough to go through that. FA Cup, I feel like Arsenal takes it. Bournemouth away, you said. I'm worried about that. I'm honestly worried about that. Because I feel like given how shaky we've kind of been on the road, I feel like that could end up as a draw. But then, I'm just riding my negative wave here. I'm worried about
you are really riding that.
Yeah. I feel like that.
I'm here.
I feel like that ends up as a draw. I think I feel like we take Chelsea away. Chelsea home. I feel like we take it. So did I miss anything? That was everything.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm hoping for 4-1-1 on this one, and one of the draws being against Fulham. That is not going to matter. Bournemouth away is probably a
Look at
scary
you,
one.
Tim. You can be positive.
I
Come
can
on.
be positive, but
Right.
goddamn, Bizarro Wednesday, people, let us celebrate, because this shit will go right back on Friday, I guess. So let's not get used to this crap over here. Once this guy gets rid of COVID, he'll be positive again, and I'll go back to being my negative self. We'll go back to normal. But yeah, huge month, man, and I think that break comes in a good time while these guys are away. It's not a huge ordeal. I feel like I really like the Fulham matchup. Just watched Fulham again yesterday. I really do like that matchup where we can get goals on them. While they can pose a couple of threats, they're not as dangerous going up. That's Bournemouth scare. I do agree. That's where my worry is as well, because they can go at you and they can score. Alan says bring Solanke back in the January window. Solanke for Nunez? Solanke or Nunez?
Come on, Alan.
You're not trading him. I'm not talking money. But if I gave you Solanke or Nunez to start in the middle.
No, I'd still go with Nunez.
I think we just go off the potential. Mind you, Solanke is really young.
He is.
I really like Solanke. What I don't think he fits. And which brings us to the question. That's why I don't think Nunez fits either. But that's a whole different morning coffee show for another day. I don't know about Friday. I don't know if Anana will be joining us because obviously he's out of the country. So let's see what kind of internet he's got rigged up over there. But hopefully he'll be with us and we can talk about how Solanke will be better than Nunez. And then just drive him nuts for like an hour straight.
But also, Tim, before we go, since you mentioned the non, we're kind of discounting the fact that Thiago might be back this January. How big an impact that's going to be.
It's always good to end with a joke.
Right? No. Endo leaving, right? You can actually I don't see him as a 6, right? But he can be good on that left-sided 8 position, where he was during that team that challenged for the quad. And I don't know if you guys hear the sirens, but
the ambulance is coming to pick you up, bro.
It's coming to pick Thiago up.
So somebody is watching all this negativity, and then once they heard Thiago, somebody called 911, and the ambulance is coming to get you, and you do need it. Oh God, no. Honestly, the role I see for Thiago is coming in the last 20-30. Basically the Milner, either to close out a game, keep possession, because that's what he's good at. Maintaining possession, controlling pace, and stuff like that. Or if we're chasing a game,
right,
the extra person in there to help create is the role I see him. I do not see Thiago starting in 11.
What about a game, Tim, where we're sure to have like 80% possession? Where we kind of have to keep things ticking. He's the best at the world at that, I feel.
Okay, he is also the best at the world at slide tackling, missing, looking like he's shocked as we're getting countered on.
Right, that's true.
So that's why I would like. I mean, but in a game like that, if things are not happening and you can't unlock a defense, that's when you say, hey, put in Thiago the last 20-30 minutes, see if he can kind of like move the ball around. And I mean, he is one person. I think that's where Mac is going to come in handy as well. Who's going to move the ball around? I mean, it's not about like taking people on and stuff like that, but when somebody's parked, being able to move that ball fast from wing to wing when needed. That's one thing that, I know nobody appreciated what Handel did when he was here, but we kind of miss moving the ball fast. And that's why I think like we struggle against like Luton Town. We struggle against United in like opening. The ball is not moving fast enough. That's one thing like Thiago brings. That's one thing like Mac brings. So I'm hoping, but I mean, let's not.
I mean, if ever we get to a point of talking about it, that's good news because that means he's actually available to play.
Well, he's in the vicinity. There's sightings of him on the pitch.
Yeah.
So since we don't have a camera in the physio room, we can kind of see him on the pitch now. So it's a good sign. But yeah, I do not see a scenario where he's he's a poor man's Molby. El says, I mean, I think, like I said, I don't see a starting role for him anytime soon. But hey, would be great to have him back. I mean, I'm not disputing that. The dude,
but as well,
he can do a lot. So I'm not disputing that. But we'll let Anand drool all over that on Friday. But thanks a lot, as always, to everybody on Instagram, on Facebook and YouTube. If you have not done so already, head on over to the YouTube channel, give us a follow there, and then we'll be back Friday morning. We'll see if Anan is going to join us. We'll say Nunez, Thiago. He'll like a Batman signal, so he'll probably show up then. Thanks a lot, John. I know you're under the weather and the viruses and all that kind of good stuff.
No worries.
But the EMT is right behind you, probably right behind Jota. They're probably waiting for the show to be over.
It could be worse. I could be playing like Gravenberg. I'm fine.
Poor guys, this just got taken away, damn it. But yeah, we'll be back Friday. Have a great Wednesday. I hope everybody is enjoying their holiday season. Take care, everyone. See you
Take care, guys.